UFC 306 is shaping up to be a historic event. It's going to be the first major sporting event to be held in the Las Vegas sphere, and UFC President Dana White has some big plans.
We are going to put on this unbelievable entertainment event. There's a movie that's going to run in the sphere. There are chapters to this movie, and you will be focused on the sphere and the screen. Then the fighters will walk out, and hopefully what we're hoping is then the fight is the star of the show. When that's over, there will be another movie. And this movie that I'm talking about in these chapters will tell the history of combat sports in Mexico, the history of the Mexican people, their traditions. It is what I call the love letter to Mexico.
But it's also an event that decides the direction that the UFC is heading as a company in the foreseeable future. And all of that hinges on just one fight, the main event of UFC Noche, Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili. And on the surface, what I'm about to say might not be immediately obvious, but the UFC really hates Merab.
Merab's cut, what do you know about Merab's cut? Can you make any...
The whole world knows about Merab's cut. He posted it. Our guys are so dumb, it's next level unbelievable. It is next level stupid. Some of these guys are so stupid, it's mind-boggling. It's unbelievable.
And in this video, I'm going to break down how that came to be, why I believe it to be so, and why this upcoming fight is so important. Is it because of a love triangle? Yes, it is. Stay tuned. Even if you don't necessarily believe that the UFC dislikes Merab, you probably wouldn't push back too hard against the statement that they would prefer that Sean O'Malley beat him. And it's not exactly difficult to see why. Not only is he currently the much more popular fighter, objectively speaking, he also has much more potential when it comes to marketability.
O'Malley isn't going to be a star. He is a star. We broke the all-time gate record here. Bruce Springsteen just played here and did 5 million. We did over 7 million. Okay, with the Boston Garden. We're the biggest thing other than the craziest sports town on earth, other than their team that plays here. We're the biggest thing that's ever been here. So what does that tell you about Elton?
I don't know if he'll ever be the next Conor McGregor like he seems to think.
So I think Conor's got one more huge fight. If he goes out there and loses his next fight, it'll be like 6 in a row or something. It's got to die down eventually. Maybe not. That just tests how big of a star he is. But I would assume he goes out there. If he loses, I'm there. I'm the guy. I'm the number one.
But he does have appeal with several different demographics. And for a company that is currently running very low on superstars, that is the most important thing in the world. Khabib is gone. Francis Ngannou left for a rival promotion. John Jones is 1 or 2 fights away from walking away from the sport altogether or being forcibly retired. Israel Adesanya will likely never win a title again. Alex Pereira is getting deep into his 30s. And Conor McGregor will probably end up on TMZ before the UFC octagon. The UFC is desperate for somebody to generate hype around the sport again. And in their eyes, Sean O'Malley is currently the front runner to become that somebody.
2 things. He wants to get paid and he wants to fight higher level competition. It's like we're going to have to pay him. Get him some fights.
And Merab is probably one of the last people on that list.
Thank God and thank UFC. I'm already popular. I'm trying to be humble. I'm trying to be like normal guy. You know, people show me so much love and so much support. Wherever I go, I feel it everywhere, and I'm grateful for UFC forever. I'm already good. I'm popular now. I'm trying to be normal guy. You know, it's actually I wanna be. I don't want too much attention. I'm already good, but you guys, of course, if I be with this guy and then I come champion.
Next question.
But he holds the power to ruin several key paydays in the next couple of years. If he wins the fight at UFC Noche, not only does he put a stop to the Sean O'Malley hype train, but he also destroys the potential super fight between Sean O'Malley and Ilya Topuria, or Sean O'Malley and Max Holloway, or O'Malley versus Umar Nurmagomedov, which would not be as big as the previous 2 matchups I mentioned, but still will draw a significant amount of attention.
I think Umar is more deserving to fight me right now than Merab. I don't really mean that, but Merab's gonna see that and freak out. He has this weird thing against Umar. He got asked about him and he left. He's like, who's Umar? He just doesn't think he's deserving.
So do you not think Umar deserves to be put in the title shot at the moment?
Who the f is Umar? He just fought one fight.
But But even worse than that, if Merab is matched up with any of these guys, he has a good chance to win. And where does that leave the UFC then? You have somebody that can beat everybody over 2 weight classes, but nobody wants to see fight, and that's enough to make Dana White fat again. If any one of my subscribers is a science fiction fan, there's a book by Isaac Asimov called The Foundation. And in this book, our planet is in danger of no longer being habitable, so a bunch of great scientists get together in order to decide collectively how to populate other planets. And they come up with this blueprint that perfectly predicts human behavior and patterns of development for these future generations to follow. And it works perfectly for centuries. All the predictions are coming true, and this new society is thriving. Until they run into an anomalous creature called the Mule, who is a mutant and doesn't follow regular patterns of human behavior, and he messes everything up for them and takes over their society. And as far as the UFC is concerned, that's who Merab is. He is the Mule, and he's ruining all of their plans. Make no mistake, the only reason he's getting a title shot now is because of necessity. He's on a 10-fight winning streak and has beaten 3 previous bantamweight champions in Petr Yan, Jose Aldo, and Henry Cejudo. And those 3 champions were beaten in his last 3 fights, which shows just how hard they were trying to get him out the paint. In my opinion, what they really wanted to happen was for Henry Cejudo to beat him and then price himself out of his next fight and retire once again.
Henry Cejudo's been speaking out a little bit, a little frustrated that maybe he didn't get a look at the title shot and feels like maybe you guys aren't willing to pay him.
Isn't that guy retired? He's retired, isn't he? I mean, the last time I saw, he was retired. And now he's mad that he didn't get a title shot? It doesn't even make sense. In a different weight class? It doesn't make sense.
And I think what irks Dana White the most about Merab is that unlike other fighters who he had a problem with in the past because of lack of marketability, Merab actually tries. For example, some years back, Dana went in on Roy Nelson, telling him that he should get a haircut and lose some weight, and of course, this was met with resistance.
Roy Nelson and I absolutely do not see eye to eye on anything at all. I call him the ultimate underachiever. That's what he is, okay? This guy, he'll come to me and he'll say, I want more sponsors, I got this, that. He's got a mullet. Seriously, who would want to put their, somebody's gonna want to put their company logo on that?
You know, the fans love the beard, they love the hair, and then all the guys that complain about it, it's just because they can't grow it.
You think Dana White likes it a little more after that performance?
No, because he's still envious.
But in Merab's case, he does everything in his power to increase his popularity. He shows up to press conferences wearing a suit and tries his very best to speak English. He shows up to events and he makes funny skits for social media. He doesn't moan or complain, he simply grinds and keeps winning until he becomes the undeniable #1 competitor. And that has to be eating at Dana, because I'm sure he wants to criticize him, there's just nothing to criticize him for. For the most part, he is the perfect employee. But when he does get a chance, he takes it.
I mean, our guys are so dumb, it's next level unbelievable.
In a lot of ways, Merab reminds me of Henry Cejudo, another guy that tried his very best, sometimes coming off as cringe in the process.
Rio de Janeiro. Daddy's coming home. Dana White, let's sign that contract. And one last thing. Your movie sucks.
But ultimately, it just wasn't enough, and Dana would often talk about him with the same passive-aggressive attitude that he has when talking about Merab.
Listen, he retired, and you've been off all this time, and you want to come back and fight Volkanovski and jump the line and, you know, jump over Max and all these other guys that have been there? It's a tough conversation.
The difference between the two is that Merab is not overvaluing himself like Henry Cejudo and then choosing to retire when he doesn't get the money. Therefore, he's not going anywhere until he loses.
Beat him off.
And Dana can't just come out and say what he really thinks, which is, hey, I don't care how many fights you win, I don't care if you're the champion, I don't care what you do. People just don't find you interesting enough, and you don't make sense financially, therefore you will never be the guy. So he has to stew in frustration and hope that somebody finally takes him out. And that is the reason why the UFC hates Merab Dvalishvili. But before I end this video, I did promise you guys a love triangle. There's one more thing that makes this situation situation a bit awkward for Dana. He has a very close relationship with the former UFC welterweight champion, Matt Serra. They're good friends, they hang out together, and they even had a TV show called Dana White's Looking for a Fight. Matt Serra is also very close to Merab. He trained him alongside Ray Longo, and he also played a big part in getting him started in MMA in the first place.
I like my guys so much. Even when they're trying to attack me like little Merab. Holy Merab.
And if he wins against O'Malley, unlike Dana, Serra is probably going to be one happy camper.
Merab's the best! Yeah, Merab! Yeah, Merab!
And it's not much, I know, but it adds yet another degree of awkwardness between Merab and the UFC.
Come on, pretend it's Sean O'Malley.
Yeah? You think so?
Yeah.
You think so?
It's Sean O'Malley. Said you're a
Punch.
Oh, man.
Yes, punch. Strong.